Thank you for joining our Zoom class tutorial. This tutorial includes basic instruction and virtual class coordinator directions for Spark classes. The basic instructions will cover how to connect to your Zoom class, how to wake up your toolbar, how to control your Zoom experience, how to change from gallery to speaker view, how to mute so others in the class can't hear you or your surroundings, how to open your participant box and use those tools, how to open and use your chat box, and how to leave the meeting. First, we're going to go over how to connect to your Zoom class. You received a confirmation email for your class. It is important to note that this email is sent on behalf of Lori Williams by noreply@zoom.us. If you search your email box for this confirmation email, you need to do so by searching on noreply@zoom.us. If you search on Lori Williams, you will be frustrated and be unable to find the email. There are several important things in this email. Where the blue arrow is shows us the date and the time of our class. We can join the class by clicking on the words that are in the red box that say click here to join. If your email is set up so that links are disabled, there will actually be a link there that you can copy and paste into your internet browser. All of the Spark meetings have a passcode. This protects us from individuals who are bored hacking into our classes. The passcode is found where you see the red arrow. The confirmation email also contains a link where you can click to add the class to your calendar. You can add it to an Outlook calendar, to a Google calendar, or to a Yahoo calendar. There will be a download that you will need to click and then save into your calendar if you wish to use that tool. There is additional information at the bottom of the email. Most of it you do not need to use, which is represented by the red line through quite a bit of information there. But there are some things that can be handy to know. Where the blue arrow is our meeting ID. Every Spark class has a meeting ID. If you're using a Zoom client on your tablet or your phone, you may need to enter this meeting ID. The meeting ID can again be found where the yellow box is, and our passcode is also there again. And the passcode is repeated where you see the red box. If you decide you want to cancel your registration for a class, you can click where it says cancel. However, if you do that, you will not be able to attend any future classes for that particular topic. It is also important to know that you will get a separate email for each class topic that you have enrolled in. Now we're going to talk about how to wake up your toolbar once you've connected to your class. Once you've connected to the Zoom meeting, you can move your cursor over the pictures of the people who are in the meeting to wake up your control bar. The control bar is seen here in this picture with a blue box around it. It will not show that way on your screen when you are in the meeting. That blue box is there just to illustrate where you should look. Next, we're going to talk about how to control your Zoom experience. Zoom offers some controls that allow you to control your individual experience, and they can be found in the blue box with the 3 dots that appear on your picture. If you click on that box, another box will open with some things that you can utilize during the meeting. None of these things will change the experience for anyone else except for you. If you find that you click an option and you don't like it, you can return to your original setting by clicking it again. You can change your view from gallery view to speaker view. Gallery view is when you can see all of the pictures of everyone on your screen. However, it is important to know that depending on the size of your screen, not everyone may appear on one screen depending on the number of people in the class. You will find an arrow on your screen that you can click to see the additional individuals. If you prefer just to see the person who is speaking, you can wake up your toolbar and find a box in your upper right-hand corner that says Speaker View. It is shown here in this picture with the blue circle. Click on that and the view will change so that the person who is speaking is in the center of your screen and the rest of the participants will be in tiny boxes above. If you don't like your new look, you can go back to that upper right-hand corner, which will now say Gallery View, and return to the view where you can see everyone at once. It is important to know how to mute yourself so others in the class cannot hear you or your surroundings. There are 2 ways that you can mute yourself or unmute yourself. When you enter the meeting or the class, you will always be on mute when you enter a Spark class. You can unmute yourself by finding the blue box on your picture, which will say unmute when you first enter the class. Click on that and people will be able to hear you. To mute yourself again, it will change to a box that says mute, as it does in this picture, where the blue circle is. Click that and you will be muted again. The other way is to wake up your control bar and find the microphone in the bottom left-hand corner, which is circled in blue on this picture, and click that microphone. If the microphone has a red line through it, you are muted. If it does not have a red line through it, people can hear you. It is important to know that Zoom thinks that we want to know what happens when we click on something rather than the state that we're currently in. Next, we're going to talk about the participant box and how to use the functions within it. We're going to wake up our toolbar again and find the icon that looks like 2 people, and the number of people that are in the class will be next to that icon. You're going to click on that to see who is in the meeting and to be able to use the raise hand function. Once you click that icon, your participant box will open to your right, and you will be able to see everyone who is in the class, as well as the tools that you can use during the class. This is shown in this picture with a blue box around it. It will not have a blue box around it on your screen. This is just for illustration. The top part of the box shows you who is in the meeting or the class. The bottom part of the box are the tools that you can use. Online meeting etiquette is to remain muted and raise your hand if you have a question or want to make a comment. We're going to be enforcing that during the fall quarter. Click the raise hand icon, which on this picture is circled in blue, and wait for the moderator to call on you before you unmute and speak. Now we're going to talk about how to open and use your chat box. We're going to wake up our control bar again and click on the thought bubble that we are used to seeing in cartoons that has the word chat underneath it. Once we click that, the Zoom group chat box will open underneath our participant box. It is highlighted in blue here so that you can see it. It will not appear that way on your screen. You can send a message to everyone or in the class or meeting or just to one individual. You can choose an individual by clicking on the word everyone to open a list of participants in the class and choose the name of that person to send a chat. It is important to keep in mind that all chats, including private chats, are sent to the moderator after the meeting is over. The word everyone has a blue box around it in this illustration to help you find where it is located. It will not have a blue box around it on your screen. You create your message by typing in the area that says type message here, which is illustrated in this picture with a blue box around it. Once you've typed your message, you're going to press your enter or return key on your keyboard to submit your message. Once your message is submitted, it will show up under the words Zoom group chat. It's also important to know how to leave a meeting. If you need to leave a class or a meeting, you can do so at any time without disrupting things by waking up your toolbar and clicking the red leave button. This will end the meeting or the class for you and not disturb the rest of the group. This is the end of our basic instructions for how to use Zoom. If you still need help, please contact Spark by emailing spark@umkc.edu. Someone will contact you within 2 business days and help you resolve whatever issue it is that you have. Now we're going to continue with our virtual class coordinator instructions. We're going to discuss virtual class coordinator responsibilities, how to volunteer to become a virtual class coordinator, what happens when you're promoted to a co-host during a meeting or a class, tools that are available to assist or control guests, and how to handle a situation that feels out of your scope or control or skills. First, we're going to discuss virtual class coordinator responsibilities. As a virtual class coordinator, you will back up the Spark class host. This is usually the Spark office coordinator. You will help greet guests as they log on. You'll assist guests with issues like how to unmute if the class host is busy. You'll assist the class host with monitoring the chat box and for people who have raised their hand. You will also mute guests who forget to do so if the class host is busy. So I know that you are interested in learning how to volunteer to become a virtual class coordinator. You can do this by contacting the Spark office coordinator. You can do this by either emailing ldwilliams@umkc.edu or by emailing spark@umkc.edu. Virtual class coordinators are thanked for their service with a certificate for a future free Spark class at the end of the quarter. Now we're going to discuss what happens when you're promoted to a co-host during a class or meeting. When you're promoted to co-host, you lose the raise hand icon, but you gain a lot of other tools, and we're going to discuss those tools next. Sometimes during a class or a meeting, the waiting room will be enabled. This means that people who are trying to enter the meeting or the class are put in what we like to refer to as Zoom purgatory. They can't join the meeting or the class until the host or the co-host clicks on their name to admit them to the meeting. This is a protection that keeps people who are not registered for a class or a meeting from disrupting things. It's also a way that we can resolve issues without disturbing the rest of the class, which we will discuss later. The host and co-host control all of the guests. That helps make things more smooth for everyone who is in the meeting or the class. There are two ways that the host and the co-host can control guests. The first is by clicking the word "More" to the right of the individual's name, which opens a list of controls. You can immediately chat with that guest. You can ask them to start their video if they have not done so. You can rename them if they have come into the meeting with a name that doesn't identify them, such as iPhone or iPad. You can put them in the waiting room. The reason that you might want to put a guest in the waiting room would be if something disruptive is going on, but you want to help them resolve it and allow them back into the meeting. The final control is to remove them completely from the meeting. This would be done if an issue cannot be resolved and you have to remove them completely. The second way is to click the blue box with the ... to open a similar list of controls. Remember that removing an individual from a meeting means they can't come back. So what do you do if a situation occurs that feels out of your scope or skills? It is important to Spark that class coordinators never feel uncomfortable. You are here to back up your class host. If something arises that you don't know how to handle, you can refer the guest to the class host or the Spark office coordinator. You can do this by sending a private chat to the class host during the class or by emailing the Spark office coordinator at ldwilliams@umkc.edu or spark@umkc.edu. If you still have questions about how to be a virtual class coordinator, please contact Spark at email spark@umkc.edu. And thank you for taking the time to watch this tutorial.